Hey there, welcome. My name is Alonda Carter and I am the Recovering Hunbot. I create anti-MLM videos, that's anti-multi-level marketing, and I also examine white-collar crime and some true crime. Basically, I like to tell the stories related to scammy things and the people involved. I apologize in advance if the audio is less than stellar. We just moved and my home office isn't really set up. I haven't had the opportunity to get the sound canceling foam on the wall, and we are doing so much to get ready for my husband's sons who are coming to live with us on August 1st. So all of my needs in the office / YouTube studio just have to go on the back burner. I'm not on screen because I'm not set up for that. The lighting right now is horrible, but hopefully you can still enjoy the video anywho. So please be forgiving if the audio quality is off and if anything else is off too. Please do not send any hate to anyone involved in multi-level marketing. Keep it civil in the comment section and be nice to each other and to me. This video is based on my experience, research, and opinion. Please, 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 please do your own research. If you don't follow Dave Vaughan on Instagram, I suggest you get on over there and do so. And I'll wait. Now that that's over and you followed Dave, he's one of my patrons, so I'm going to share with you one of his recent posts, and then I'm going to kind of give my thoughts, and I'm also sharing the associated graphics he created around all of this. This is what his post said. With over 700,000 members of the r/anti-MLM Reddit, I thought it might be important to give a simplified representation that is anti-MLM activism. It's not a structured organization and there are no formalized levels. On days my healing path takes me on stages of activism I thought I graduated from months ago. The truth is, we all have various touch points that trigger our emotions from terrible or sometimes glorious triumphant experiences with MLM. It's important to recognize there are no pin levels here in anti-MLM. You aren't expected to rank up, and others are not going to be forcing you to perform for their benefit. We all contribute immeasurable value to future potential victims of these scams just by processing and giving our emotional gravity to the stories shared by others. I am eternally grateful for the various content producers out there making content that helps inform, shape, and entertain the future of this community of shared concerns. I hope this may help identify where you're at yourself and aid in your exploration of where you want to be in this space of activism. Again, you are welcome at every stage of this process. What's most important is that you find a comfortable place to heal and find understanding. My biased opinion on the stages of anti-MLM activism, shock and silence, pain and regret, hatred and resentment, humor and bashing Huns, solutions to repair issues. You know, I have not really thought about the stages. Well, I mean, I have and I haven't, sort of a thing. And I'm not really sure if I necessarily agree with these or the order, but what I think is important is someone is acknowledging that to grow from being part of an MLM and heal, there is a progression of some sort, and not everyone follows the same emotional path. There's not a right way or a wrong way to heal. The point is to heal. And I think it's important to be kind to yourself and others along the way. Disclaimer, this post is based on my own experience being a backseater behind the sceneser in the anti-MLM movement for over 2 years. No one should ever feel compelled to be at any stage of activism. This is an open and evolving community, and it's important to meet everyone where they are in their healing process. There are no leaders by design. We all have an important role to play. I love that Dave says to meet everyone where they are in the healing process. I also love that he says there are no leaders. Unlike MLM, where there is a clear structure, anti-MLM is always growing and responding to the audience. At least that's what I see. Silence. In 2018, this was me, a silent participant just looking to understand and process what happened through the stories others would share on r/Anti-Mlm and various Facebook groups. For some activists, this is where the healing starts and ends. This process may last weeks, months, or several years. Please know your story is yours to tell, and that means you have every right to keep it to yourself. For me, this is where I think it's important to encourage people to report their experience to the FTC or to Truth in Advertising or both. The more of us who've been through this experience of MLM that can share what happened to us in a safe place, then I think we should, because overall, we don't want others to suffer like we did. I agree that for some it starts and ends here. And again, I want to encourage, the reporting, because it is the only thing, by having that huge stack of paperwork, that I think is going to get the FTC to take any sort of action against any of these deceptive companies. To me, just remaining silent in a way is complicit, because doing so allows these deceptive companies to continue operating unchecked unless you want to consider the joke of self-regulation, the direct selling association, what they offer. Now, a while back, I did do a video about how you report to the FTC, and I think I showed that also in Truth in Advertising, but you guys are smart people. You can figure out how to do it, because I think the FTC website has updated, and I haven't had an opportunity to make an updated video about that. But I think it's very, 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 can I emphasize very, important to report to them what happened. We need to build our case. And the only way we can build our case is if they have the evidence through the stories we have to tell, and they're documented, and they can point to hundreds, thousands of these cases. That's what we need. Pain and regret. This is a gripping phase of activism where people begin to assess the full scope of harm MLM has quietly ravaged throughout your life. Many people feel pain from the loss of what was understood to be a community in their MLM. They are also tinged by regret of the time they lost with others and the relationships tarnished in the process of following the plan endorsed by one's upline. This could be grieved silently or be seeking new community and asking many questions. I think this stage is one that can last a very, very long time, especially if you start asking questions and start to seek to understand at a deep level this monstrous, deceptive industry. Because it's not about making the world a better place and helping people. Every MLM will make that claim that that's what it's about, but it's not. I think this is why I so strongly believe we need mental health professionals that fully understand the many layers of MLM so people can get support and help from professionals. The scars are deep. It is not an easy process to go through on your own or even within a community of others who have been through it. In some ways, we are all doing our best, but we're not professionals at helping people process their experience. Resentment. This is usually a focused stage of external aggression. Individuals often act out viciously against one company and its representatives. To outsiders, this may draw criticism. People often don't understand this stage of healing. Actions may lead to a repeated cycle of regrets, but the individual must be allowed to relieve their stress in a healthy manner. It's important to reach out to those in this phase of the process. Ignoring someone in the stage can be harmful to others. I think the word I would use here is anger. I think people are angry that they were used by these companies and then in turn feel used by whoever got them involved. I think this is especially true if anyone was under, a top hun those people who speak at the various events, on the stage and all of that. And you look at them and think, oh, gee, I wish I could do that. I mean, I know that's what I did. I wanted to be on the stage too and get all that recognition. But the sad thing is, no matter how much someone follows the steps given and busts their hump day in and day out, they're not having any success. And afterwards, when you get out, I think there is this built up hostility because, you're made to think that other people are doing it and it appears so effortless. And then you question yourself, your abilities, and blame yourself for not being able to do something the right way. I know when I first started making Anti-Mlm videos, I made a ton about Beachbody, which I think was healing to some degree. For me, uncovering the many layers of deception was very important, and that's still true to this day. What I do find to be unhealthy is if people attack, those stay-at-home moms in their posts and stuff, going to their comments and start going at them or show their faces in videos. When I first got into Anti-Mlm, I watched a ton of videos, a ton. Not so much now because honestly, I just don't have the time, because when I do the research that I do, it's a lot of time doing that. It's very, very deep, and I just don't have enough time to watch other content creators. But I typically know some of the things other people that I'm close to, what they're creating, or I try to at least stay somewhat informed. And I don't always, I'm not always successful at that because I have a lot going on, especially now with the new house, getting ready for the kids to come here. I mean, just a lot. Life, okay? We all have life. And if you're someone who's a content creator and you can't keep up with all of that, please don't feel like you should, because you don't. It's a lot to be a content creator, to, come up with the ideas, write the script, put it all together, film it, edit. It's a lot to do all of that. And then I really think that also builds up some of my resentment still, because when I do the research on these things, I put myself in the, Hun position of what it's like to be in that particular MLM. And I get angry and I start feeling those same emotions all over again. And so I keep on going through that process over and over again, especially when I go way deep, dark, underneath the underbelly, behind the scenes, and I'm pulling it all apart. It takes a lot out of me emotionally. And I think it's because, I was involved. And not that I was some successful Hunbot, because I wasn't. I was just one of the people who worked her butt off trying to make it work, believing that if I just work hard enough, it's going to happen. And that's just a big fat lie, I do think being downright mean and vicious is very different than critically questioning and examining the overall structure and the companies and how Huns put out content on social media. I think it's important to question, examine, and discuss the behavior and where it stems from and the various messages that are associated with it. I cannot get down with humiliating anyone who is still in an MLM. I just cannot do that. And I think some people sometimes, go down that rabbit hole. At least, I've seen things like that, and I can't get on board with that. I think that is probably more harmful to the individual than it is healing. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems to be counterproductive. Huntbashing. A large majority of the MLM community shifts between outward aggression towards terrible or questionable behavior in MLM and offering explanations for the victim and perpetrator relationship that ensconces an MLM distributor. This is often what direct selling companies point to as bullying behavior. Given the lack of self-regulation and serial abuses found within MLM, it is not unreasonable to have this reaction. This is a popular high drama activity that increases awareness of the problems inherent to the MLM model. I think, to me, Huntbashing as defined here kind of goes hand in hand with resentment and anger. I don't know if you can pull the two apart, you know. Any criticism of MLM is perceived as an attack or bashing by the company and or its distributors, when in reality, what people are doing typically is questioning and analyzing the behavior and language of those who are used to keep people trapped in the endless cycle of MLM, to work hard to eventually become financially free. And when that does not happen, doubling down and going at it harder. Because, you know, that's what happens when you tell someone, oh, this is a scheme. This is like you start letting the Huns know they shouldn't be doing this. That often is just the opposite. You know, they then go like, oh, they just start wanting to prove you wrong. I can remember feeling that myself. It's like, oh, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to keep going. And I know you're watching me, because we're told, you know, people watch. They just don't take action. You're watching me and you're going to see how successful I am. What a big old bucket of hooey is that? And all of it is utterly beyond exhausting. Solutions. This is evolving rapidly, but there is a big move to change the system that makes MLM so untouchable. Starting an organization, initiating a rally in the UK #BannScam, facilitating international cooperation, drafting new legislation that opposes the narrow definition of pyramid scheme authored by the Direct Selling Association, DSA, working with lawyers and regulators to report bad practices across any and all wrongdoers in MLM, educating others with novel content. I really like how Dave outlines these solutions. When people come together who recognize a problem and bring attention to it, I think it's a really good thing. When you consider how in the past year there has been this shift in race relations and gender identity so that there's a conversation going, I see that as growth. Anytime people can talk about something when they have different viewpoints, I think we have an opportunity to learn and hopefully do better. Overall, what I want us as a society to do about MLM is to do better. I want there to be information readily available that is transparent and is not hiding the reality of what MLM relies on, which is recruitment. I don't care how you try to dress that product or service pig up, what shade of lipstick you put on it, a pig is still a pig. MLM is not a viable alternative to a job, in my opinion, because so many people lose. And it is only sustainable for those at the top if people keep coming in at the bottom. There is no right stage to be at, and it's not a linear progression. What's most important is that you heal through your process of discovery. Whether you were directly involved in MLM or you know someone who was, your only obligation is to yourself. Be where you need to be in your activism, and thank you for helping. I absolutely agree. It's not a linear progression. I think we can be at different stages simultaneously too, you know? Being an activist brings criticism from whatever you are opposing. Hopefully, our voice continues to get louder. More will join in, and being part of MLM will just kind of become socially not acceptable. If there is a social stigma with trying to recruit and sell to your friends and family, then maybe fewer people would be inclined to do it. And then maybe we can move away from it. Let me know what you think. We have a long way to go for there to be any significant change. The main thing is we cannot be silent and just keep our opinions about this to ourselves. We can use what data we have available as a way to illustrate why this type of so-called business creates social chaos and harm. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And remember You're beautiful and I love you.